Good morning, YN. Your classmate greeted you with a smile. You returned it politely, pulling your book out of your locker. As you glanced around, your eyes landed on him, John Jungkook. He leaned casually against his locker, chatting with his friends as if the world revolved around him. Idiot, you muttered under your breath, rolling your eyes. But before you could look away, his gaze snapped to yours. His dark eyes looked onto you, and you flinched at the sharpness of his glare before quickly turning and walking to class. Your step flattered when you saw your best friend Aram sitting with the new girl. Pushing aside the uneasy feeling creeping into your chest, you smiled and walked over. Good morning, Aram. Your voice was cheerful, hopeful. But she didn't even look at you. The sting of embarrassment flushed your cheek, silencing you. Before you could speak again, the professor walked in. Quietly, you slipped into the seat behind her, your mind buzzing with confusion and your heart tight with unease. A little later, Jungkook entered the classroom with his friends, his walk lazy but commanding attention. He glanced your way and frowned when he saw you sitting alone. Usually you were giggling and chatting with Aram, but today you looked small, withdrawn. Something felt wrong. The professor droned on, but your focus stayed on Aram's back. She was laughing freely with the new girl, Yuki, as though you had been erased from her world. The sight made your chest ache, and though tears stung your eyes, you refused to let them fall. When the bell rang, you gathered your courage and tried to approach her, but before you could, she walked out with Yuki at her side, not sparing you a glance. Panic surged, and you chased after her. Aram, you called, but she didn't turn. Desperate, you caught her wrist. To your shock, she yanked it free. This sudden movement drew curious glances from nearby classmates. What do you want? She asked coldly, her voice like ice. You froze, staring at her. Around you, whispers began. Jungkook, watching from afar, clenched his fist, his jaw tightened, anger shimmering as he studied the scene. What's wrong with you, Aram? Why are you ignoring me? You whispered, your eyes brimming with tears. Aram had been your best friend since middle school, your safe place. The sudden distance hurt more than words could explain. Since Yuki's arrival, everything has changed. Didn't you get it? Or are you just too dumb? She sneered. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Everyone knew the two of you were inseparable. For 5 years, you had been each other's shadow. I'm not your best friend anymore, YN. Why can't you understand that? She yelled, her bitterness shocking even herself. You're fake, always acting rich and overly kind when you are not, always flirting the new things you buy, mocking me behind my back, and don't pretend you didn't steal Subin from me. You knew I liked him, but he chose you instead. The humiliation seared into your skin, turning your cheeks hot. You shook your head, tears finally spilling. That's not true. Jungkook's jaw tightened as he stepped forward, unable to watch any longer. Aram showed you suddenly, and you gasped, stumbling back. Before you could hit the floor, strong arms wrapped around you. Jungkook. His voice was a low growl. What the hell? The venom in his tone froze everyone. Yuki shrank back, hiding behind Aram, who stared at him in disbelief. I dare you to touch her again. Jungkook snapped, his glare cutting like a blade. His presence was overwhelming, dangerous. Someone no one dared to provoke. It's none of your biz. Aram began, but his glare silenced her silently. I will make your life hell if I see you near her again, he warned. Without another word, he scooped you into his arm. Gasps echoed around the hall. Jungkook never allowed gossip about himself, never gave anyone anything to talk about, but right now he didn't care. There is a warning to everyone. If Anyone dares to treat her like this again, they will deal with me. His voice was cold and final. With that, he carried you out as though he owned the world, and in many ways he did. Aram's face burned with humiliation as whispers swirled around her. Some classmates cared, others shook their heads. You went too far, one muttered. Jealous of your own best friend? Pathetic. The crowd dispersed, leaving Aram standing in shame. Meanwhile, Jungkook carried you to the parking lot, setting you gently in his car. Your quiet sobs made his chest tighten painfully. He wasn't used to this. The helplessness of seeing someone hurt, especially you. I will make her pay, he muttered darkly, gripping the steering wheel. Through wet lashes, you glanced at him, confusion written on your face. Why are you doing this? Why do you care? You whispered. His body stiffened. He didn't answer, his silence heavier than words. You sat by the window, staring blankly outside. Your mind replayed the morning over and over. Aram's words, her accusations. You suddenly clink made you flinch. You turned and saw a steaming cup of coffee placed in front of you. Jungkook stood there, watching you quietly. This was new. You had never seen this side of him, and he never seen you cry. Something about it unsettled him, angered him, but not at you, at Aram, at himself. Thanks, you murmured, wrapped your cold hand around the cup. The warmth seeped into your skin, grounding you. He sat across from you, clearing his throat. You need rest. Don't go to school tomorrow. His voice was low, but you heard the worry lashed within it. You looked at him, frowning. I will rest today, but I won't let this affect me. And why do you care, Jungkook? Why aren't you supposed to hate me? His eyes softened, but he quickly shook his head. I don't hate you, he muttered, staring into his cup. You narrowed your eyes. You said on our wedding day that you hated me, that you would never accept this marriage. He winced, his jaw tightening. I know I regret saying it. It wasn't hate, it was pressure. That was sudden marriage. I wasn't ready. I couldn't think straight. Your heart clenched. It wasn't sudden just for you, Jungkook. I didn't ask for this either. I was forced into it. Finally, his eyes met yours. For the first time, you saw them unguarded, swimming with guilt, regret, frustration, and something you couldn't quite name, but he quickly averted his gaze from you. The silence crashed between you, filled only by the faint hum of the heater and the clink of cups. Jungkook exhaled slowly, his finger tightening around the mug as though it anchored him. Do you know why I said those things? His voice was lower now, hesitant, as if each word cost him something. You frowned, not answering, waiting. He swallowed hard. Because I was scared. Your heart skipped. It wasn't what you expected. I've always been good at hiding behind this image, behind being untouchable, reckless, the guy no one messes with. But when they forced this marriage on me, it felt like my whole world cracked. Suddenly, I wasn't just responsible for myself anymore. I had you. He looked up, his eyes heavy with something raw, and I didn't know how to be enough for that. Your lips parted slightly, your breath caught into your chest. Jungkook's jaw clenched as he continued, his voice rough with honesty. I said I hated you because it was easier than admitting I was insecure, easier than admitting I wanted to work, but was too much of a crowd to face you. You blinked, tears threatening you again, but this time not from pain. He leaned back, running a hand through your hair. I watched you suffering in silence, always smiling, always acting strong. I thought maybe you didn't care, that you were fine. But today, his gaze softened as it lingering on you. Today I saw what you hide, and I hated myself for not being there sooner. Your throat tightened. You had dreamed of him saying something like this, even if you never admitted it aloud. But hearing it now, it broke something open inside you. You looked down at your trembling hand resting on the mug. Do you know how lonely it feels to live in a house with someone who swore he would never accept you? I tried to act like it doesn't matter. I told myself I didn't need your approval, but every night when I saw you walking past me like I was a stranger, it hurts. The word slipped out like a confession you had been holding in for months. Jungkook's chest tightened painfully. He reached across the table, hesitating for a moment before placing his hand over yours. His touch was warm, hesitant but real. I don't want to keep hurting you, he said quietly. I don't want this to be a loveless marriage. I want to try YN, even if I'm clumsy with it, even if it takes time. You finally lifted your gaze to meet his. His eyes no longer carried arrogance or coldness, they carried truth, vulnerability. For the first time, you believed him. The room seems to shrink, the space between you charged with something fragile but new. You didn't pull your hand away. Instead, you whispered, almost trembling, then let's try. Jungkook's lips parted, as if he couldn't quite believe it. Slowly, the corner of his mouth curved, not his casual cocky smirk, but something softer, almost shy. And though no grand gesture followed, that simple touch of his hand over yours marked the first step. A fragile thread of trust woven between two broken souls who had finally chosen to face each other. Everything was usual as always, but when you both entered campus, silence rippled like a wave. Conversations halted, heads turned, everyone stiffened at their places, witnessing the sight of before them. John Jungkook, the boy no one dared approaches unless he wanted them to. The boy who never walked beside anyone, never showed affection, never let humor stick to him, was walking onto the university with you at his side. Whispers spread fast. Is that Ryan? No way, he's actually walking with her? Didn't Aram? She's dead. Look at his face. You kept your eyes down, heat rising to your cheek, but Jungkook's hands tightened around yours. He wasn't hiding it, he wanted everyone to see it. Aram, standing by the locker with Yuki, froze as her eyes landed on you two. Her lips parted, shock painting her face pale. Jungkook stopped in the center of the hallway, tugging you slightly closer to his. His presence alone was enough to silence the crowd. Then, in a voice that cuts through the air, he spoke. Listen carefully. His eye scanned the crowd, daring anyone to look away. From this moment on, Ryan belongs to me. Gas filled the air. She's mine. Mess with her, you mess with me. And I don't give warnings twice. The weight of his word crashed over everyone like a storm. His eyes lingered on Aram's for a second longer, sharp enough to pierce. She flinched, her face burning under the intensity of his glare. You felt your breath catch, your heart hammering. His word echoed in your chest, heavier than any confession, because in front of everyone, Jungkook had just built a wall around you, declaring you untouchable. He released your hand only to drop his arm over the shoulder, pulling you against him. His body was firm, steady, shielding you from every judging stare. Keep staring, he muttered to the crowd, voice rippling with warning. See what happens. Not a single soul dared speak, not a single whisper followed. The hallway, once buzzing, now felt suffocatingly quiet. But beneath that silence, something inside you shifted. For the first time since this marriage began, you didn't feel alone. You felt protected. As Jungkook guided you forward, his arm never leaving your shoulders, the truth settled in your chest like a fragile flame. He wasn't just saying it, he meant it. And for the first time, you let yourself believe it.